Looks like a phaser. I mean a tricorder. Hi guys.
Hi. Tell us about your show.
Yeah.
You guys didn't see any of the other thing, I assume, because it's so hard to get over here. Well, Ascension is was a top secret project that was launched by President Kennedy in 1963, soon after the Cuban Missile Crisis. It's a 600-person nuclear pulse propulsion ship. It's over 1,500 feet long, weighs 10 million tons, and is a lifeboat for humanity. That's what it was intended for. If we destroyed ourselves on Earth, humanity would survive.
But if there's no communication between Earth and the ship, then how would you find the lifeboat that you sent?
They think that the Earth is destroyed. It's totally non-interdependent with Earth. It's a fully functioning. It's a lifeboat for humanity. The people on board are going to go to Proxima, colonize it, and make sure the human race thrives again.
That was going to be my question. I was going to ask you what the destination of
Proxima
the Ascension
system
was
is
to
the
be.
nearest inhabitable galaxy. So.
Star. He's an astrophysicist. Nearest habitable star. It's Proxima Centauri.
Yeah.
What inspired you to create the show?
I was reading about the Orion project, and I thought it was interesting that this it's kind of a forgotten project, because we all know about the Apollo and Mercury projects, and it was interesting that in the 50s they were planning a space program that could have explored interstellar space right then and there. They had really big dreams, and now everything's so reduced that we can't even link up to the International Space Station. So.
Does the ship itself, does it have, say, the old traditional spinning rings for the artificial gravity?
No,
Is it through constant
thrust
acceleration?
Constant acceleration.
What is wrong with Earth? I mean, what's happening with Earth? Why is this program launched?
Well, it was launched in '63, right after we almost, destroyed ourselves.
Okay.
There used to be a thing called the Doomsday Clock, and I think but people don't pay attention to it anymore. But back then they really did. We were like 1 second to doomsday, or 1 minute right after the Cuban Missile Crisis.
Okay.
I mean, we were prepared to go to war, and actually, the real history of the Orion project was that it was a military. It wasn't NASA. It was military, and so it was top secret, and that's why it's not as well known. But in '63, Kennedy was shown a mock-up of what the project would look like, and it scared the hell out of him. It looked like the Death Star. It was fully militarized, and it was designed to be in orbit over the Soviet Union at all times to destroy it at a moment's notice. I mean, it was nuclear cannons and rockets. That was the way they justified it, its military funding. And Dyson and all these guys had done kind of a devil's bargain to keep it alive because they were so intent. Much like Wernher von Braun, who goes from the Nazis to America. Oh, he's like Mr. America overnight. He didn't care. These guys weren't about nationalities. They weren't even about Earth. They were about the stars. They really had this vision, this dream got a hold of them. And they would work with whoever could help.
So is Ascension equipped with a library of humanities, riches, and good stuff to use when they get home?
Yeah, they have a massive terraforming division where they basically try to imagine what different environments might be like and how they would interact with that. But we have all the riches in these vast library that has these stacks that go up and down through the floors. The greatest books and art. And there's a scene where someone comes into the library and does a riff on, I love Lucy. Lucy, I'm home, and she says, you have at your at the doorstep here all of humanity's greatest, literature, and this is what you remember.
Well, why is it that, or how is it that the system between the different levels on the ship, how did that develop, and where do you see that going as far as the conflict in the ship?
It just developed because I think it seems as if man is a hierarchical animal no matter what, and so people who, were officers or scientists, this thing kind of evolved pretty rapidly, where it's not a question of inequality, more about real estate. When you live in the upper decks, you have better cabins and access to certain things. But it's not like living in the lower decks is, some sort of Terry Gilliam dystopia. It's not like that. It's just more
So the professions essentially
Yeah.
evolved
The
into a
officers and
social
the professionals.
status.
And there is some mobility, but not as much as they like to believe. Kind of like our own world.
So you mentioned just around what are the inspirations?
Well, just being a kid who always, all of us wanted to just, everybody wants to go to space at some time in their life. And, we wonder what it would be like. And sometimes it seems like, the parameters of Earth are limited and you wish we could have greater things here. And that's the canvas to write your imagination on.
So who are your scientific advisors?
We've had a lot of guys from NASA. Surprised how many of them there are in Los Angeles. And some really well-known hard science fiction writers as well.
Such as?
And that's what I'm just trying to remember. The guy who did all the Uplift stuff.
Oh,
David Brin. Great, really smart guy. And had 3 or 4 different advisors from NASA, including astronauts and things like that.
Does the story talk about what you're going to do when you get to this planet? I mean, what are you going to build there? What are you going to
Well, that's what they
grow there?
imagine. One of the characters says, who believes that this was a boondoggle created by our grandparents bought into a lie, and it was $1 billion project that some politicians sent us out to God knows where. And what are we going to do when we get there? Live like pioneers and build picket fences and tame a wilderness? And he's the rebel, and his girlfriend to be says that's exactly what we're going to do. We're heroes. We're saving humanity. So there's lots of that kind of back and forth.
How were the original crew chosen? Did they volunteer?
Some of them, those are some of the bigger mysteries that come up later, but a lot of them were just some of the most famous scientists and people who accidentally disappeared and had accidents and other things, narratives to explain their disappearance. Someone says at one time, you put 600 of the best and brightest in a tin can for 50 years, and you'd be amazed at what they'll come up with. And
So would you say that the show, even though science fiction, that you were trying to stay as close to
Absolutely.
reality and science
Absolutely.
as
And
possible?
even in the use of closed systems and water reclamation systems and animals and all of that, we've always looked at all of that stuff because it's more interesting when it's based on reality. If it's just like push a button and we have food appear in Star Trek, it's not interesting to me.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, guys.